Does anybody else not really enjoy anything anymore in life?
If it's not playing some 2K, miss me with that shit, bro.
In my life is so damn boring.
Like, I feel like I'm not really, like, going towards nothing. I'm just kind of stagnant.
I don't really know what it is. Like, I'm not depressed or anything. I just don't really find joy or happiness in much of anything anymore.
Sometimes I'll be wishing I had a baby mama that I could just argue with, you know? Like, spice up the day a little bit.
Like, I just be bored as hell. Like, no matter how productive I be during the day, I'll always end up bored as shit.
I literally don't do anything. I live a boring life.
Nowadays, if I go out, I want to leave in the next 25, 30 minutes, and I'm ready to go home.
I ain't gonna lie, I would get on here and like tell like my life stories and stuff and all that, but shit, I ain't got nothing to tell y'all niggas. I'm a boring ass nigga sitting in front of my monitor all fucking weekend.
But I don't know what it is that I want to do. What is it that I need to reach out for type shit, bro? Because I'm tired of doing the same shit every day, bro. I'm tired of just making TikToks, going to school, you feel me, fucking on hoes, like stupid shit, bro.
Crap, dude. And like honestly, even when I go out and do stuff, I'm like, I don't even want to do this.
Sitting in front of my monitor all fucking weekend hitting fucking greens and niggas faces on 2K.
But life is just boring as fuck now, bro. Like, everything's so boring.
Sitting in front of my monitor all fucking weekend hitting fucking greens and niggas faces on 2K. Motherfucking goddamn green bean, green eggs and ham. Green bean, green eggs and ham. Green bean, green eggs and ham. Green bean, green bean, green bean, green eggs and ham.
Hey Pretty Girl Club, welcome back to the Decentering Men series. I have not made a video on this series in a while, and I just want to talk about how a lot of Dustishas, they're crying over men, and it's like, first of all, whatever man you're crying over, he was probably boring. Let's be honest, most men are boring. Their lives are not as fun. A lot of men, they have no friends. They just go to work and come home. If he's a successful man or if he's making a little bit more money, he's working 60, 70, 80 hours a week as a lawyer or a surgeon, or he's a doctor. A lot of guys, they're workaholics if they are successful, and then if they're not successful, they spend their time using different forms of escapism, such as drinking heavy amounts of alcohol, smoking, or playing video games and watching porn. So it's like, you've got all these women on the internet. They're so obsessed with finding a relationship. You've got these non-pretty privileged Dustishas who are chasing after men, and it's like, ma'am, your life is literally going to become less exciting if you get with that guy. Because think about it, one of the benefits of being decentered from men, I can use myself as an example. I have hobbies, I have friendships, I have something on my calendar probably at least 4 times a week. I have things to do outside of the house. I have a lot of fun events that I'm going to. Most men are not doing all that. They're not going to the reggae fest. They're not going to carnival. They're not paying money. A lot of men are cheap. You think that men are just cheap with you? No, no, no. That man is cheap with himself. He hasn't even bought himself a new pair of underwear in 5 years. So why is it that women are putting men on this high pedestal? They think that some Prince Charming is going to come out of nowhere. And it's like, no, most of you guys are fighting over a t-shirt and sweatpants relationship. That's all your relationship is going to be. All you're going to be doing is chilling in your t-shirt and sweatpants. You're going to have a Netflix and chill relationship. That's it. Most relationships that men have to offer, it's no more than a Netflix and chill relationship. He doesn't have the money to take you on dates. He doesn't have the money to take you on a vacation. He's not paying for you to go on a birthday trip. He doesn't want to go to a 5-star restaurant. He doesn't see the value in going to nice places. He's monocultural, so he doesn't want to do anything that goes against his stereotypes. He doesn't want to go to the ballet. He's not taking you to the opera. You're not going to the jazz festival. And this is why a lot of men fight so hard to promote going on coffee dates. Well, it's because not only is it that he can't afford anything more than coffee, but that's the most exciting thing that he'll ever do. That's the most exciting thing about him is he will take you to Starbucks. That's literally what he does on the weekends. All he does is go to Starbucks. That's all he knows. That is his form of excitement. It's corn, it's video games, it's smoking, it's drinking, and it's the occasional Starbucks. And have you ever noticed that a lot of these Dustishas online, they'll complain and then they'll be like, oh, all these guys keep asking me to come over. Yeah, because he has nothing to do. There's nothing exciting about his life. The most exciting thing about his life is his TV screen. That's literally the most exciting thing is his Xbox. It's the fact that he has black leather couches. That's the most exciting thing about his life. He spent more money on his black leather recliner than he spent on you. Let that sink in. Men on average, they're paying more for video games. They pay more for their recliner couches. They pay more to purchase hot Cheetos and pork rinds and processed foods. You know, they're purchasing tortilla chips and fucking Doritos. They're paying more money for that than they will for you. So I'll never understand why a lot of femcels online, they're literally fighting and they're hating on the Exoticals because, you know, apparently, according to them, we get more of the male gaze than them or whatever. But it's like, sis, you're fighting over a man that has no hobbies. His life is literally boring. Have you ever been around someone where this guy doesn't even have dress clothes? Like, just let that sink in. The man that you were dating, he doesn't even own a pair of slacks. He doesn't own any nice clothes at all. He doesn't wear blazers. He doesn't wear sport coats. He doesn't wear like a nice linen outfit or whatever. He has nowhere to go. So that's why every time you see this man, he is in a t-shirt or sweatpants or he's in his work uniform. That's it. That's the extent of his wardrobe. So these men, they don't even have a wardrobe. They don't even have clean underwear. They're living in apartments and shacks and living with their parents. They're being hobosexuals. They're in a do-rag 24/7. It's like, sir, if you can't afford a haircut, just say it. Just say it. Why is he in a do-rag 24/7? Always in a do-rag, always hiding behind a do-rag. The way that I view a man in a do-rag, that is the equivalent of a woman walking around in a bonnet 24/7. You're trying to hide your hair. You're covering up your hair because you think that something about your hair is unkempt or your hair is not done or whatever. Okay, so, sir, you have been wearing a do-rag 24/7 for the last 6 months. You couldn't even get a haircut in the year 2026. The last haircut you had was in December of 2025. And you expect women to be fighting over you? You have a whole do-rag collection. Have you ever been around men that have a collection of do-rags? Like, okay, so on Monday, he's wearing a green do-rag. Then the next day, he's wearing like a pink one. Then he's got a yellow one. It's like this man is literally... he spends more money on do-rags. He does not have any hobbies. His hobby is playing video games, playing GTA, Grand Theft Auto. His hobbies are playing video games. He either plays a sport with his friends, so maybe he plays football with his friends, he plays basketball with his boys, or he plays a video game where he's playing a sport within the video game. And have you ever noticed a lot of men, the closest they'll get to living their dreams is via a video game. So he plays a video game where he pretends that he's an NFL player. He's playing Madden, so that's him pretending to be in the NFL. He's playing 2K. He's pretending to be an NFL player. He's pretending to be in the NBA. He's playing GTA. He's pretending to be hood rich and a wealthy drug lord. He's playing The Sims where he pretends to own a home. He pretends to have his own business and career. So he's not even living a real life. This man is a walking NPC. He's literally a side character in his own life. The most impressive thing about him is his do-rag collection. And I know that you guys are going to say, oh, not all men. Nothing I'm saying on this channel is ever about all people. So I'm not about to spend all my time saying a whole bunch of disclaimers. Are there good and bad people out there? Yes. This video is about the bad people where their lives are boring. They have nothing going for themselves. They have no hobbies. And it's like, you literally have Dustishas out here who are depressed and sad all because they can't be with this boring ass man. Chances are, if you're a pretty girl and you have a fun life, if your life is fun and exciting, chances are your lifestyle is actually going to be downgraded if you get with that guy. Because think about it, you have to be sat down. A lot of women, they start to sit down once they get in their relationships. You can't go outside anymore. You know, he doesn't like it when you go out with your friends late at night, and then you got the men who try to control what you wear. So it's like, you can't go here, you can't do this. You literally are about to regress back into being a teenager because you decided to get with a man that is boring. And have you ever noticed that a lot of the YouTubers who promote relationships, you know, they try to be these experts. I see a lot of women online. They try to be these experts on how to get this leveled up relationship or whatever. And they never talk about their own relationship. They never show you who their guy is. Well, yeah, because he's boring. He's a boring man. There's nothing that she has to talk about. She's in a t-shirt and sweatpants relationship, or she's Netflixing and chilling with a random white man, and then she's using that so she can brag and say, "Oh my God, my boyfriend's white." Meanwhile, does he know he's your boyfriend? Is he even claiming you? We literally had a woman recently defending a YT man who said he was going to delete her.
This is where I was gonna kill you. Huh? This is where I was gonna kill you. Is it? Is it?
Did you record that?
Yeah.
I was just kidding.
So you've got men where their hobbies are literally violence. You know, they play video games like Halo and all these first-person shooter games, and then they make jokes about deleting women. So it's like, okay, is that exciting to you? A man who thinks it's funny to delete people, or he, you know, that's his hobby, is pretending to delete people or making jokes about deleting women, or, you know, just sitting around on his butt. Do you know how sweaty a lot of men get when they're playing video games? Like, just let that sink in. Think about this. He's sitting in an enclosed dark space in the middle of the summertime. He can't afford to keep the AC on all the time because, you know, that's going to make his bills too high. So just imagine the level of sweat that man must have while he's playing the video game. If you've been around hardcore gamers, you know exactly what I'm talking about. These men will be over here sweating. He's doing a whole workout just sitting in the chair. Sitting in front of the video game, he's drenched in sweat. When he gets up from the chair, you know, the chair has like a wet spot on it from where his butt was. The whole room smells musty. His entire bedroom smells like mildew, or like he won't be out working. You know, he's not working, he's not building a career, he's not gaining any skills. He just wants to live off of other people, but then he calls women gold diggers. It's like, no, sir, you're actually the gold digger. You're trying to gold dig by living off of your mother or your brothers and sisters or your cousins or whoever, mama and them. But I want you to think about this as a pretty privileged woman. When you step outside, you are receiving free gifts from people. You are receiving opportunities, brand deals, jobs. You're getting people offering experiences to you. Being a beautiful girl in this world, it's like a whole different lifestyle than a woman who is considered a femcel or a dustisha. So for a lot of pretty women especially, you're literally downgrading your lifestyle because now you're canceling out all of those fun things that you were doing. You're canceling out the fun girls' nights. Maybe you were roster dating or something as a pretty girl. So you weren't committed to anybody. Maybe you were just being wined and dined. Maybe you were just being taken out, or a guy sent you some cash app, you know, some money in your cash app. A guy took you shopping or something. He donated money to you while you were live streaming or something like that. See, a lot of women, especially if they're pretty privileged, those women will actually go and get paid to play video games. They literally will be getting paid to play video games. They'll be getting donations and stuff just because they're pretty. So you're telling me that you expect women to trade all of that, trading all of that pretty privilege, all of that attention, all of that pedestal that they're getting. They're supposed to trade that to be with some boring guy who has no hobbies. And that's another thing women won't admit too. A lot of dustishas won't admit that their boyfriends are not improving their lives at all. You know, that man, he's not giving her any new experiences. He doesn't even know where to begin. He doesn't even know how to invest in new experiences for himself. So why would he suddenly become this multicultural expert? Why would he suddenly become an expert on the city that he lives in just because he's with you? No. And so my theory is that most women are in a sweatpants and t-shirt type of relationship. And I think a lot of guys, the reason they promote coffee dates so much is because that's the best they can offer and that's the best they can do. And, you know, that man's life is so boring that, yeah, that's the only place that he goes that's exciting. The most exciting place in his city is Dunkin' Donuts. You know, the most exciting place that he can afford is Starbucks. And I also think it's pretty hilarious how I'll see men, they'll say things like, oh, well, that's a way of testing her by taking her on a coffee date. And it's like, so you're testing women, but then you get mad when those same women test you? You call it a shit test when a woman does it, but then when you do it, it's just vetting. And also another reason why I talk about decentering men is because I feel like Most people only date because their lives are boring. That's really what it is. You're only dating because you don't have any hobbies, you don't feel validated outside of romantic or sexual attention. You're not validated by society. You don't know how to validate yourself. You don't know how to fill your own cup. And so you're seeking a partner so you can really be an emotional vampire on that person. You just want to be an emotional vampire. You want to suck the life out of that person. Have you ever noticed that some people will be like, "Oh, I love your vibe. I love your personality." And then they will suck the life out of you and they try to like destroy that same personality that they said that they loved. So a lot of people, the only reason they want to date and get into relationships is because they're just spending their lives going to work, gym, and home. That's it. They're living their lives in a prison. They're living the same day over and over again. And a lot of women who are femcells, I feel like they're not whimsical. So just like I talked about in my Nara Smith video, a lot of women who lack whimsy, the only time she feels whimsical is when she's in the arms of a man. She doesn't feel beautiful when she's by herself. She doesn't feel beautiful at work. She doesn't feel beautiful in the media. She doesn't feel beautiful in her phenotype or in her hair texture or with her facial features or her body type. So she doesn't have that whimsical nature. And so she seeks that by trying to date. And I think that's why you see a lot of women who are the least pretty privileged and they're the most male centered. Those are the women who chase after men the most. They're chasing after Dusties the most. Usually it's the unattractive women who are doing the most chasing of these dusty men. She's chasing after all these men because the only way that she feels magical is if she's going on a date. So even something as simple as going to Starbucks, that makes her feel magical because for once she feels whimsical. Because think about it, what does that even mean to feel whimsical? It means you're doing things on a whim, you're being spontaneous. She has no spontaneity in her life. She doesn't go on spontaneous solo dates, and so that's why she's willing to accept a last minute spontaneous date with a man. Her only source of excitement is being with that guy. And I feel like a lot of people, they never talk about that. And so that's why I feel like once you stop centering your whole life around chasing men, it helps you to have a more balanced perspective. Because a lot of people, they're only dating because they're looking for novelty. You don't even like him, you just like new experiences. You don't even like him, you just like going out at night. You don't even like him, you just like dressing up. Okay, so then why are you centering this man that you don't even like? All you liked was the lifestyle. So it's like, okay, so just provide that lifestyle for yourself and decenter men. Stop looking for a guy to fill a void that you could fill yourself. That's a very common mistake that I see a lot of pick-me women making. A lot of the Dustishas, they're bragging about a man, and it's like, okay, but can you brag on yourself though? Can you brag on your own life? What was your life like before that guy, and what's your life going to be like after that guy? And I've also noticed that some people, they just like having this emotional roller coaster of dating. So it's like, why are you crying over a man that you didn't even like? That's another reason you should just go ahead and decenter men, because you didn't like him. You just liked the roller coaster. You just liked the excitement. You just liked being seen. You liked feeling heard. That's it. So just take him out of the equation and just, be on your own and figure out a way to fulfill those needs yourself. That's why I say that all of this drama that people are going through, it's really not necessary. And have you ever noticed that the people who have a full life and they have a full schedule, they're living their dreams, they're working their dream jobs or whatever, usually those are the ones that don't feel as much urgency when it comes to finding a partner. The more urgent somebody is to find a partner, the more desperate they look. It just makes it look like, okay, your life is boring. Your life is boring. You have no excitement. You're living the same day over and over. And so you're looking to this other person to come in and basically give you a lifestyle makeover. That's what a lot of women are doing, I've noticed. There are a lot of women where they're with these men, and it's like, you're the one that's giving him the lifestyle makeover. You're actually making his life more exciting. His life was boring before you came in it. So you're giving him more than he's giving you. He's benefiting out of the relationship way more than you are. So that's why I feel like you really shouldn't be sad if you went through a breakup, because if anything, he's going to suffer way more than you are. And if you don't believe me, all you have to do is look up the male loneliness epidemic. Men on average are way lonelier than women are. That's why a lot of men are more obsessed with, women's standards and women's bodies and abortion rights and no fault divorce, and they have to stay married. They should be forced into marriages and stuff. Why is it always men fighting for that? Well, it's because they're more lonely. Their lives on average are way more boring than women's, because all they're doing is playing video games and jacking off to corn. And and also, this is another reason why I feel like you should decenter men, because think about it. What do you have in common with that man? Like, I'm being dead serious right now, not even trying to be disrespectful. What conversation topics does that man talk about that are so interesting to you? So to all the girls who say, oh, I have guy friends, I like talking to them, what do you guys talk about? Because when I think about my friends, we talk about a whole bunch of stuff. My friends, they invest time in us hanging out. So, like, my friend will text me. She'll be like, hey, do you want to have a pool day? Do you want to have a cookout? Do you want to go to this event? So, are your guy friends doing that to you? Probably not. Are your guy friends inviting you to all these fun events? No. On average, women actually make better friends than men, because at least women will do special stuff for you on your birthday. Women will like get you some cupcakes, and like they'll celebrate you. They'll come to your birthday dinner. They'll buy you something on your birthday. A lot of men will actually get pissed off doing stuff like that. And so for all the women who have all these male friends, my question is, what value has he contributed to your friendship other than simple validation? Like, seriously, why do you have him around? This is why I don't have any male friends, because on average, they don't make good friends. That's number one. Number two, a lot of them are not even capable of me being their friend. So I think that, if you're an unattractive woman, yeah, maybe you are always in the friend zone or whatever, and, it's completely platonic. Okay, that makes sense. But in my case, I don't have any male friends, because why do I need a male friend? For what? I have lots of female friends. I love being in feminine spaces. I embrace my femininity. I already get enough male attention as it is. So why would I need, like, I just feel like a lot of women lie and then they try to say, oh no, well, we're just friends. And then, 6 months later, she's mad because that guy has a girlfriend. And also, when it comes to male and female friendships, most men, they're not going to be good friends, because, him celebrating your birthday or getting you balloons and getting you a present, or always planning events with you and stuff and talking to you and emotionally supporting you, he views that as that's boyfriend girlfriend activity. And generally speaking, men are actually very strategic and they do tend to categorize women. So he's probably not going to really invest in you if there's no chance of him sleeping with you. I mean, let's think about this for a minute. That's really what pretty privilege is in regards to men giving you pretty privilege. A lot of men give women pretty privilege because deep down inside, he subconsciously thinks that there could possibly be some sort of chance that he could magically sleep with her. So once you completely take that out of the equation, there's nothing left. And by the way, if men were very good friends, if they were good at being friends with women, then the male loneliness epidemic wouldn't exist, because those men would have female friends. So you can't try to convince me, oh, well, men are less drama and, they make better friends than women. Okay, so then why are men so lonely then? Since they're so low drama, since men are so wonderful and they're low drama, and since they make great friends, then why are they lonely on average? It's because a lot of them are not good at investing in any sort of relationship, whether it's platonic, whether it's family relationships. We've seen the videos of the women who work at the morgues, and then they say that a lot of the men, they actually do end up dying alone because, they couldn't even maintain relationships with their own daughters or sisters or, their family members. So why would I center my life around men who have literally admitted out of their own mouths that they are lonely, they're in a loneliness epidemic? Okay, so if he has spent his life feeling lonely, then that tells me that I'm most likely going to feel lonely when I'm around him. Because think about it, if a person is always alone, they don't have to work on the social skills of like being considerate of somebody else, thinking about somebody else's emotions, putting someone else first, or, putting someone else on the same level as you, being a team player. If a person is socially isolated, they don't have a way to develop those social skills. So, by men saying that they have a loneliness epidemic, they're basically admitting that they don't have the skills to not be lonely, and then they don't have the skills to help a woman to not feel lonely either. And that's why some of the loneliest women you'll ever meet in your life are married women. Some of the most lonely, most angry, miserable women you'll ever meet are women who have boyfriends. They've lived with their boyfriend for 10 years or whatever. It's like, how are you living with someone and you still feel lonely? And by the way, I'm just ranting in this video. I don't really have a lot of notes or whatever. I just haven't talked about this talking point in a while. But I feel like another reason why your ex-boyfriend was probably boring is because men online, they actually make fun of men who are interesting. And then they say, oh, you're being a jester. They call it gesturing, like being funny or whatever. Being funny and entertaining and charismatic and like kind of being the life of the party, being a good conversationalist. They view that as being a jester. So they're literally telling other men, oh no, you should be as boring as possible. If she likes you for your personality, it's because you're a jester. You're a jester. You're a clown. And then they'll be like, well, you shouldn't have to entertain her. And it's like, well, technically you do have to entertain her because when somebody comes to your house, you are entertaining them. When you're hosting somebody, you are entertaining them. So men are literally admitting that they don't want to be interesting. They don't want to entertain you. They want you to feel lonely just like how they feel lonely. And the reason I'm saying this is because whenever you ask men, like, hey, what's an example of being a jester? They'll say making jokes, and then they'll use the example of Kai Cenat. I don't remember what clip it was, but I see a lot of people using Kai Cenat as a jester. His personality is very like funny or whatever. He's a streamer. He's kind of loud. He's silly, basically. He's silly and goofy. So if you're a man who's silly and goofy, that's bad, apparently. Apparently joking and laughing at yourself or trying to make others laugh, that's bad. Okay, so they're literally telling you that they want to be boring. He wants to be boring. He's just going to sit there. He's not going to say anything. He's not going to talk at all. You're not going to laugh. Just imagine being in a relationship for 80 years and you never laugh. Just think about that for a second. Let that sink in. Think about being in a relationship with a man for decades and you guys never laugh together because he feels like that's him being a jester. He doesn't want to be a jester. He doesn't want to make you laugh. Just imagine spending decades with someone that you can't laugh with. Okay, so what's the difference between him and a Karen at work? That's literally him being a Karen. Men are like promoting becoming a male Karen. So like you can't have fun with that. You can't laugh or anything because then he's being a jester. And then he can't purchase anything for you. He can't buy you any gifts because, that's him being a simp. And it's like, okay, so then what value do you bring to the table? You guys are always asking what women bring to the table. Well, sir, what do you bring to the table? You have no personality. The average man is overweight. He's not in shape. A lot of these guys, they have dad bods. They got the big circle in the middle of their head because, like, they're bald. The average man cannot afford to get his teeth fixed. The average man can't afford to go to the dentist in this economy. So these men are out here with yellow teeth, bowling ball stomachs, a bowling ball head shape, hasn't been to the dentist in 10 years. A lot of men, they spend more money on video games than they spend at the dentist. They spend more money on video games than they do at the gym. So I'm extreme for decentering men, but it's not extreme that men spend more money on video games than they do at taking care of their own health. That's not extreme. Oh, but Exoticals United making a YouTube video, that's so extreme and she should be canceled. There are people who make way more extreme content than me, and you guys love them. They don't get canceled. But I've noticed another talking point about being a jester. They will try to say that a man is embarrassing himself for female attention. And it's like, okay, well, what do you consider to be embarrassing yourself? Because making a joke, that's not necessarily embarrassing. Also, we're human beings. So yeah, you might do something embarrassing. What's wrong with that? Human beings embarrass themselves all the time. Sometimes you fall down and then you laugh at yourself or whatever. That's not being a jester. That's knowing how to laugh at yourself. So you got men online training other men to be stiff. He's stiff as hell. Have you ever been around a man that just like he has a stick up his ass? He's very stiff. He doesn't smile ever. He never laughs. You just can't have fun with him at all. He's hella like boring and judgment. He literally acts like a grandpa. They feel like acting like a grandpa. That's the best way to like be masculine. You know, you go to sleep at 9 p.m., you wake up at 5 a.m., and then you never laugh because that's gesturing, and you can't make jokes. So that you're just being a grandpa then. You sit at home all day, you sit in your rocking chairs, and then you have boo-boo stains on your underwear. Okay, so you are a grandpa. You're living your life as if you're in a nursing home. You don't smile, you don't laugh, you can barely walk, you're always sitting in a chair 24/7 in front of a television screen, and then you never go to the dentist, and then your teeth are falling out. You are a grandpa. That's literally what grandpas do. But another talking point that I see about gesturing, they'll be like, oh, you're a jester because that woman was insulting you and then you laughed it off. So laughing things off, they feel like that's being a jester. And it's like, okay, well, what are men supposed to do? Are they supposed to become violent? So you're admitting then that you shouldn't laugh at anything. You should become angry. That's a better option. Become angry. And also, it's like, okay, if a man is with a girl who is insulting him and stuff, well, why is he with her? He should have chose better, right? He should have chose better. He put himself in that situation. He loves it, right? He loves it there. That's what they say to women. They'll say, you love it there. That's why you chose that guy. Okay, so I'm keeping the same energy. You love it there. That's why you chose that girl who insults you. Nobody told you to get with a girl who is mean to you. Nobody told you to hang around a bunch of women who are insulting you 24/7. And by the way, has anyone noticed that a lot of men actually have a high abuse tolerance? Because think about toxic masculine culture. You know, that's really a culture of abuse. You got men abusing other men. So if he has a high abuse tolerance himself, how do you think he's going to treat you? How do you think he's going to treat your children? You think he's going to suddenly become a fucking soft Care Bear? Suddenly he's going to turn into Winnie the Pooh. He's going to turn into fucking Jesus Christ. He's going to turn into the Messiah. He's going to be a perfect angel now because he's with you? No. Generally speaking, people who have a high tolerance for abuse tend to be very abusive themselves. And another talking point that I see from men, they'll be like, no, being a jester means that he's sacrificing his dignity so he can have female approval. Okay, so then what's your definition of dignity? What gives a man dignity, and what's an example of him sacrificing dignity? So if he moves to a new city to be with that girl, you know, that's him sacrificing dignity. If he quits his job and gets a new job so he can be with a certain girl, that's sacrificing dignity. But then you expect women to do stuff like that. You want the women to move to your city. You want women to quit their jobs, and you say that you don't care about women having an education. You said you don't care about women having degrees, and that women should sacrifice that stuff so they can prioritize their relationships. But then if a man does it, oh, he's a jester. So it's like, okay, you don't want to be a jester. You want the women to be a jester. And by the way, I can talk about this subject for hours. I love how nuanced we are in the exotical community. Everybody can get the smoke over here. Anybody can get the smoke. We're going to analyze everybody. But another thing I've noticed too is a lot of people, their lives are boring. A lot of men, according to their own talking points, their lives are boring. And so that's why they're swiping on dating apps all day, because that's his form of entertainment. You know, that's his form of dopamine. Have you ever noticed that? A lot of men, they like to use women as a source of dopamine. They use female attention as a source of dopamine. So that's why he will text a woman all day long with no intentions of taking her out. No intentions of meeting her in person. He just wants the dopamine hit of having a text message from a pretty girl. And have you ever been around those guys where they say, oh, you need to smile, or they get mad and then they say, you don't speak to nobody? Like, he's mad because you didn't say hi to him at work. Why? Well, it's because you took away his dopamine hit. He's an addict. He's addicted to your validation. He's addicted to approval. And so when you don't smile at him, when you don't say hi to him, when you ignore him and pay him dust, you just ruined his day. You took away his dopamine hit that he was supposed to get. And I also feel like some men use relationships as a form of escapism. He's using that as a way to escape from the fact that his life is dusty. You know, he's using it to escape from the fact that he never achieved his dreams. He never did what he wanted to do. He doesn't know who he is. He doesn't have an identity. And so some men, it's almost like they use dating as some sort of band aid. It's like an emotional band aid. It's a way to cover their emotional wounds. Or they want you to be the fix it woman. You know, they want you to be the emotional construction worker that I talked about. So you're supposed to love him back to life, and you're supposed to help him to heal his trauma, and you're supposed to help him identify his emotions. You're processing his emotions for him. You're helping him to name his emotions. You're acting as his personal therapist. You're his personal therapist, his personal life coach. You are his fitness coach. You're the one getting him out of bed in the morning, telling him to go work out. You're the one that's scheduling the gym stuff. You're making the meal plans for him. So now you're also his personal trainer as well. But then this guy, he's not even allowed to make you laugh because, that's called being a jester, apparently. And a lot of men don't love you, they just love what you do for them. And if you don't believe me, go and ask your boyfriend right now. Go say, hey, why do you love me? Go and ask him. And I guarantee you, he's going to start naming the things you do for him. He's going to name the traumas that he put you through and how you stayed. So a lot of men, they love you for your lack of boundaries. And if you don't believe me, go look at all the interviews of men talking about their wives. They'll be like, oh, I love my wife because she stayed with me when I took all the money and gambled it away. She stayed with me when I spent up all of our money. She stayed with me even after I cheated. So basically, he doesn't love her. He loves her lack of boundaries. He loves the fact that he can always come back to her. If he feels like he can always come back and like you'll always stick around, okay, so he loves the fact that you don't have boundaries. So that's not him loving you. That's him loving your codependency. He loves the benefits that he gets from the relationship, not you as a human being, because he's not coming into it with a mindset of giving. He's coming in with a mindset of taking. Oh, I like that I can just spend up all the money and then just come back and then she'll just work and make more money for the two of us. I like that I have a free place to live. I like that I have a free life coach, free emotional validation, a free ex worker. So, I get to do whatever I want with her sexually while simultaneously looking at corn behind her back. I'm glad that I get sexual access to her while simultaneously DMing other women on Instagram. And by the way, us pretty girls, a lot of us pretty girls know this. That's why you see a lot of pretty women who are not as obsessed with getting with these random men. A lot of pretty women are actually less likely to settle for somebody that's extremely dusty long term. Because even the women that they try to say are with dusties, okay, those are dusties, but there are different levels to dusties. There are some men who are extremely dusty, they have absolutely nothing to offer. Then you got the semi dusty. You got the extreme dust ball, then you got a miniature dust ball. Then, and by the way, I'm not telling anybody to get with any sort of dusty. But I have noticed though, there are a lot of women who complain online, like the femcells, they complain online and say that if they do match with a guy on a dating app, it'll be a guy with like no car. He'll have no car and no job and no place to live. And they try to say that the dating app algorithm is like racist or whatever. And it's like, okay, so if all you're attracting is dusty, then why would you not decenter men then? That's even more of a reason why you should decenter men. And a lot of people conflate decentering men with devaluing men. They think that I'm saying, oh, all men are worthless or whatever. No, I'm not saying that they're all worthless. I just think that you should not revolve your entire existence around another human being. That is unhealthy and codependent. But what do you ladies think? Let me know in the comment section and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.